Real Talk show with me, Si. And I hope you had a wonderful week. The Lord is always good despite every situation. And I'm glad to see you all again. And I hope you're glad to see me. Now, I'm going to go straight in because we've got no time to waste. And I'm going to ask my friend, the beloved witness, Aka Adrian. Come on, please.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody. Yes, I'm back again.
You're back
My
again.
gosh, you got me on the second wave.
Second wave indeed. How are you?
Well, I am a bit tired. I never made it back home to my out of the city. Let me just put it that way, because I don't live in Birmingham City. So I had to go and do a detour to get on time. So I made a detour to my dad's house. So hence the reason why the lighting may look a bit different. Don't worry about the lights.
All right.
Just know that the
Okay.
light is glowing inside.
Okay. All right then. So we're going to go straight on to the first question. Right. Can you tell me? I just wanted to know. Let's just recap on last week for a few minutes. Now, from what I remember, you wasn't really intending to go into music. Just expand a bit on that. How come you went into music?
Well, as I said last week, I went into music as a conduit to access young people's hearts and minds. And how I went about doing that was because I knew that music was a great influence in my life growing up as a teenager. And I knew its pulling power. And I knew that if that vehicle was to be used, it could ultimately bring messages that were necessary for young people to my age group then to hear a message that was appropriate and timely for them in the language that they could understand. So, like the scripture that the Lord had given me at the time was Acts chapter 1, and it just cutting out all the rest of the parts, just getting to that part where it says, and every person heard their language, person heard their own language in the mouths of I'm paraphrasing, of the disciples or the apostles, So those who love R&B, let them hear the gospel in R&B. Those who like hip hop, let them hear the gospel in hip hop. Those who like, soca, let them hear the gospel in soca. And those who like dancehall, let them hear gospel in dancehall. So therefore, they heard their own language and they believed. So based upon that, I moved forward and says, okay, let's do this, Lord, with your permission. And as I says, he gave me lyrics. I took them and he said, after you give me lyrics, I'll take them anywhere in the world. And so said, so done. So, I traveled all over the world, producing and presenting the gospel in a reggae dancehall fashion.
Okay, let me just jump in. All right, so that was one of the questions I was meant to ask you last week. Just give us one of your favorite little ragga raps.
I did that last week.
Did you?
Yes.
Praise the Lord.
About give thanks to the Lord.
Oh yes, I'll give thanks to the
Jesus.
Lord.
There you go. But I'll go again.
Sorry. No, you don't have to repeat it. No.
You need to go back to last week.
I do apologize. I should have watched my own show back again.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the people who wanted to hear something. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've done it for you now. So it did sound kind of ragged, didn't it? Was it a bit ragga?
Yes, well, this is good.
Yeah. All right, so praise the Lord. Right, so what I want to do now, because I knew you as witness, and then I had to get to know you as Adrian. And Adrian had a vast array of skills and talents that I knew nothing about, because all I knew was as a married man with children. You had a family, and we wrote music, and we performed on the stage together. I watched you perform. We went to Gospel Fest in Barbados. They had a wonderful time over there, and we're very good friends. Sit down, talk for hours and hours and hours and hours. Now, in talking all those hours and seeing each other going to restaurants and whatever, and seeing you having, the waiters doing whatever you willed, I still didn't know you as Adrian. It's the last 10 years, I'd say, I got to know more of who you were and the skills and the talents that you have, which are very rare. A lot of people are going to be surprised with the things that you've done and that you're doing. So with that, as you were talking about, what you really wanted to do was connect with the youth. I want to talk about Eurostar. Last week you had the Eurostar t-shirt on, and I want to just bring in Eurostar, and I want you to mention also about the concert that you did at the NIA that was full with the youth, and the police connection and all of that, so people can start getting a more of a broad idea of who you are. Please, if you could.
Well, again, as I said last week, in order to go forward, we first must go back and establish the foundation. So, as I says, I am born to Margaret and Lester Burke. I was born in 1974. My birthday was Friday just gone, and I was born Adrian Burke. Yeah, and I became a Christian at the age of 17. My household in which I was born into was a very much a service household, meaning that my parents would, well, and more in particular, my dad would never let somebody pass the home without saying good afternoon.
Good morning, good evening, or as the case may be.
Yeah, as things such as making sure that I had that was what amplified my relationship. So yes, I became a Christian, but underneath still had all these belief structures, and the values and persuasions, what my dad had shown me. When I mean he showed me, he never took me to one side and said, "See, look this."
Yeah.
By his actions and his reactions and interactions. And you know what? That is what I ended up modeling. Yeah, that was my perception of what a man should be, taking care of his house, being a community person, being a spokesperson for those who don't have a voice.
Yeah.
So based upon that, that was what had brought me through. So yes, I was this Orthodox Christian in the first instance. Then I became more agile in terms of, you know what, let's go out there and do some unorthodox things. Then I went further and pushed it to rebellion, to the place of saying, okay, let's do music in a dance hall. So dance hall, and for those who don't know, in the 80s, in the 80s, in the 90s, well, I say 90s more, gospel dance hall is like, milk and vinegar. Like those things don't go together. You can't put them two things together. You think that the devil's coming to the household. So therefore, no, that was not accepted. Take it so much for granted now that there's so much different genres of music being played out through the church speakers and everything. But then fast forwarding, all the time when I was going on tour for different parts of the world and stuff like that, my heart was still not satisfied with that which I knew to be true and knew to be convicted of. And it's Luke chapter 4, he came to set the captives free. And those who are sitting in darkness seeing a great light. What is that light? That's an enlightenment that, guess what? We have the opportunity to impact people's life who won't possibly come close to the church walls, but they will definitely hear a message of redemption. Redemption meaning the good news look like, you know what? I can actually have some money to pay my bills. I can actually have a good night's sleep. I can actually, you know, live with somebody without being beaten upon. I can
Yeah.
live my life in a secure mind. That's good news for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Jesus
Yeah.
never just came to save us just so that we can go to heaven. In actual fact, he didn't even say that. He said he wanted to bring heaven to earth, his kingdom come, yeah,
Mm.
and to establish his kingdom throughout the earth. And through
Yeah.
and how his kingdom is, it's just like, me being a British man, going to Jamaica, going to Barbados, going to Trinidad, going to America. In that place, I bring the culture of England, of British culture into America. So therefore, if his culture, as I said to you last week, in James, not James, St. John chapter 1, where it says, guess what? And he gave them power to become the sons of God. Yeah.
God,
So if
praise
you're a
God.
son, everywhere I am, doesn't matter where I am, his word will be with me. So
Yeah.
therefore, when I'm going into America, guess what? My culture, my the attitudes, the behaviors, the reactions, the interactions, as
Mhm.
I've been shown by my father, will be made manifest. So when I say that the gospel is being spread in us because his word, his kingdom comes inside of us. Everywhere we are, that's his kingdom, and that's what we
Yeah.
should be showing. So and showing his culture through
Yeah.
uh wherever we are. Basically, I'm going back around and repeat. So moving forward, so all this time, my heart kept on progressing. When I got to the age of 30, well, before I got to 30, I started suffering with some bouts of depression. Not the
Hmm.
depression that people will understand of, oh, yeah, let me just say depression and not go any deeper. Suffering with bouts of depression.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know I'm good at what I'm doing. I know where I am. I know where I'm coming from, and etc. But Lord, is this all that I've done? And I'm coming to be 30.
Mm.
And I remember it was it was 2003. The young ladies in Birmingham got shot. Uh, Letitia Shakespeare, Charlene Ellis, etc.,
Yes. I'm very,
got shot,
very clearly.
um, which was a watershed moment.
Mm.
In that time, it was 1999, no, 2000 it was, that the Lord had showed me. 1998, sorry, I went and worked for a company called, um, oh, why am I call out people's things? I can't remember their name for. Um, I worked for this company anyway. Yeah. Challenge 2000, that's what it was called. Challenge 2000. And they was going
Praise the
into this community, into the schools, highlighting around the, what's it called? The gospel, and doing good deeds inside of to young people and helping them to do good deeds before the year 2000.
Yeah.
So I was doing that and I started to write songs. I started to convert my songs, not so much gospel, but just about social action.
Yeah.
And in 2000, I went and started doing some work in an enterprise called Enter, and because I was a chef, as I done told
Mhm.
you last time, and as I got this job as a chef, I was a supervisor, and then the BBC came in and interviewed myself, and they called me the rapping chef, and I did this song, and that made me even more uh, uh, incredible. And then after that, um,
Incredible. Tell me you met me
so
now.
they called me the rapping chef. They called me the rapping chef, and then my heart for young people really, really started growing even more. And I realized that I had this influence with them and over them to persuade them how to look at life outside of the normal box. Then
Yes.
after that, um, this bout of, as I says, I left that job, and 2003 was when the shootings happened, and it was in 2003 time that I had this bout of depression because I was coming 2004, I'd be 30, and I was for, well, what have I achieved? I know that I've gone out there and ministered to hundreds and hundreds of people, you know, and done lots of amazing stuff. But
Yeah.
Lord, what is going on? You know, by this time now, I was thinking, wow, okay then, Lord, I don't know. My world got so low that I actually became a security guard. And working in this security guard, I've seen all these televisions, these television monitors that I had to look at. Anyway, because of time, I just cut to the chase. So anyway, I said, Lord, my life is finished. I was reading my Bible at this security job, and I said, Lord, my life is finished. There's nothing more. What am I going to do now?
Mm.
You know, and he took me to the scripture, and he showed me Joseph. And at 30, Joseph entered to be prime minister at 30. David, King David, became king of the city of David at 30. And he
Yeah.
said, even myself, started my ministry at 30. So, Adrian, your life has not finished, it's just starting.
Yeah.
I said, Lord, thank you so much for showing me through your word that 30 is the beginning of ministry.
Mm.
And then from there, he took me into, I asked him if I could, I says, my parents are of Bayesian descent, and I've never even performed in Barbados. Long story
Yeah.
short, my nan died, and I'll cut out all that chase. And my dad paid for me to go to Barbados, go to my nan's funeral. And it so happened when I got to Barbados, it was the same time as Gospel Fest. And I
Mm.
actually went to, what's it called? I asked my uncle if he could take me down to where they was having this show. And the man and my uncle took me down there. And I booked up on this man called Watchman, who's my friend from since 1996, 1995. And guess what? He said, what are you doing here? I said, you know, I come to bury my nan. He goes, Bridget, you need to come on stage. And God fulfilled a promise to me that I always wanted to perform in Barbados. If you go on YouTube, you can see that. Anyway, I'm going to jump to the chase. So anyway, I got all that promise. But the Lord said my ministry would start in 2000. So that was like the entrees in the 2003. That was the entrees. Then I was contacted in January 2004 by uh, a police officer, detective sergeant, who says, I've been given your number. I said, who by? He said, by a man called Beres Dawkins. I said, okay. He says, and the reason why
Hello,
I'm
berries.
contacting you, he says, because basically we're looking for somebody who can um, preach the gospel without calling Jesus' name. I said, that
Mm.
sounds like my street, you know.
Mm.
I said, tell me more. He says, basically, we've got young people that are in the uh, youth justice system, and what's it called? The yachts. So the yachts, for those who are not in the UK listening to this, yacht stands for the youth offending team. Yeah, and basically they help young people who are either being uh, who have been apprehended and be given a custodial sentence, and they work with them,
Oh,
or have been given a charge order or an order that they have to serve. And basically, under the British law, they call it prevent and deter. So therefore, they try to deter the young people through education to rehabilitate these young people away from a life of crime. So
yes. Yes.
they said that we've got all these young people who are on the verge of serious crimes, yeah, and joining gangs and getting
Yeah.
into exploitation of all
Right.
sorts.
Time.
Said, oh,
Mm.
okay. He says, is it possible that you could come and do some songs around helping them to make healthy and right choices? I
Oh,
said, well,
brilliant.
brother, you're
Most
asking the right person.
definitely.
Pardon me?
Yeah.
And so, therefore, based upon that, I went and did this. And he said, I said, when do you want me to do this? And he said it was in April. I think it was April or March. I said, April. He says, and I remember what the Lord says. He says, at the age of 30, my ministry will begin. This police officer, I just call him police officer, though he's a detective sergeant, he said to me, you know, I'm a Christian. he was a Christian, and that's why he went to Berries to ask to find out if Berries knew of anybody who could minister the gospel without mentioning Jesus' name because of the political correctness and all this stuff.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's how he managed to get me. And then I told him about the what the Lord had told me. That's why I told you about the 2003 and getting to Barbados and all that stuff. But anyway, so from there, I went and did this conference. I never got paid so much money for doing a half an hour job in my life. I said, mercy, Jesus, you really bring me into ministry. And and then but more than the money, the young people just gravitated to everything that I was saying. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. They thought it was amazing. The young people gravitated to me, and West Midlands Police says, we got him. This is who we need to use.
Yeah.
So basically, they took my music and promoted my music throughout all the schools. So they kept on asking me for songs, and I kept on writing these songs. And then then my business hat came on. And in my business hat, I says, all right, then, since these people are asking me for songs, I said to them, what would you think if I write an album full of songs which are songs of social justice? They
Yeah.
said, yes. How much would that cost us?
Okay.
We start thinking about house, car, and land. We start thinking, well, boy, so we can pay off that debt and pay off this debt. Okay. So I gave them a number. I won't tell you the number, but I gave them a number and they said, yes, we take it. And I said, okay. So
I know the number. It's a very, 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 very large number. But bless the Lord.
so then so I says, well, if the police keep on asking me for these songs, when I go to the NHS, the NHS is the National Health Service. So why don't I go to the Youth Offending Service? Why don't I go to the Drug Action Team? In fact, why don't I go, to the mental health team and all these other agencies? So I went to all these agencies, and they start giving me money for writing song. Then they give me money to go and record the song. Then they give me money to go and do music video. Then they give me money just because I was working. So I'm getting money 3-4 times just for one song, but to record the song, to write the song, to perform the song, and then to do the music video, then pay me too.
Because I remember you drove a little yellow car, because yellow's our favourite colour.
Right, that yellow Saxon, that yellow little Saxon there, again, was a blessing from the Lord. Let me tell you something. Yeah, so what I used to do, I have to go back to go forward again. But in 1999, 1998, I think it was around that time. So I said to the Lord, Lord, I would like a yellow car because I would like to magnify your name. So basically, on that respect there, I used to, I remember this Chinese preacher man, he says, if you ask the Lord for something, be specific. And I remember, and he says, write down what you want, and pray over it, but be specific. Because if you ask God for a bike, he will give you a bike. But if you wanted a green bike and you never be specific, he'll just turn up and give you a bike with 4 wheels. Because you wasn't specific, you wanted 2 wheels with 1 handlebar, not 2 handlebars, or a bicycle with no seat. And when you ask him, he said, right, be specific. So I said, I want a yellow car. And I wanted a Saxon, I wanted groovy and looking. Anyway, long story short, I seen this yellow car. I went to McDonald's one day and I turned to my left and I looked, and going through the drive-through was this nice car, and I said, I like that car. So we left from church and we went up there with my little brown, small machine, and we went up there. You see, you got me gone off in tangent, but I'm just telling people testimonies. Went up there and I went into the shop, and when we got into the shop now, they looked at me and they says, oh, I like that car there. He said, okay, sir, what would you like? He said, it's £250 per month. I said, 200 and how much? He said, £250 a month if you want to have that car there. I said, okay. And then so I started acting like I had the money in my pocket and talking to him at real great length. And then what happened was the man gave my daughter a balloon and gave my son a balloon. He said, when the balloons go down, or you pop the balloons and you find anything in there, if you find anything there, just bring it back, put your name on it and just bring it back. So long story short, my daughter popped her balloon straight away, and this piece of ticket come out, and then my son decided he's going to pop his balloon, and then the ticket come out, and so we put our names on there. And when I went to go and do the deal with the car, the I said, oh, by the way, I found these two tickets, and he said, oh yeah, I put them into the prize draw. So I was like, oh, okay, safe. So I carried on trying to do the deal, and then the man said to me, the man says, oh, I'm just going to go and get some paperwork. And the Holy Spirit says, Adrian, don't buy the car. I said, Lord, you know I need a car. I ain't even got no car that looked properly representing you. He said, do not buy the car.
Yeah.
I said, Lord,
Yeah.
come on, man. He says, do not buy the car. So I got up, I made my excuses, gone back my business. A couple of weeks later, I come back. I said, Lord, you tell me not to buy no car. I ain't got no car, and I'm really frustrated.
Yeah.
Anyway, long story short, out of 1 million people that live in this city, Birmingham, I got up one morning. My wife at the time, she just threw a letter on top of me. I opened the letter. It says, "Congratulations, you won £10,000 towards a new car."
God bless the Lord. Ah!
So when, so you can imagine now, if I bought the car, yeah, I'd have been playing it on tick, and guess
Yes.
what? I had God gave me 10 grand towards a brand new car, so I bought the
And
yellow
God
sack. So
don't
that's
do
that
no
testimony.
tick, by the
No,
way.
no, I don't do the tick. But
Oh,
guess what? As I says, I don't think I can come back for a third time, so I need to cut to the chase. So basically, what happened here is that I did this album and I called it Foundations for Life. Foundations
yeah.
for Life. What's it called? I was thinking, so my brain had ticked now, you know. I said, Jesus, I think we need to do a school tour. So I said to all the agencies, listen, I think we need to do a school tour, and you guys need to sponsor it. They said, yes, no problem. So I got them to sponsor a school tour, and I went throughout the whole of the West Midlands. I took this one
Yeah.
song called Tooled Up for School, and that took me all over the place, up and down the country. And I says, you know what? I think we need to do a concert, because all good artists do a big concert, you know.
Don't
And they
they
said,
just?
okay. And I says, well, this is my idea. So I says, we're going to book the NIA, and the promoter,
NIA.
who I got as a the promoter that I was, not a promoter, the company that I was using to help me put everything together. They said, why are you going to use the NIA? Why don't you just use the church or the community hall? I said, you must be sick in your mind. I said, listen, when I do this, I'm going to do it like it is the best thing since sliced bread.
Yeah. Yeah.
They said, well, how are you going to get this money? I said, don't you worry about that, boss. So I ended up getting my concert sponsored by all these agencies to the
Yes.
tune of £500,000.
Mhm.
And then basically
Did
I
you
was
hear that,
able
folks?
to,
£500,000.
and I was
Yeah.
able to, into, to a lot of that money, I must say, was spent on, because at the time I was scared for young people to come in independently. So I ended up um, hiring coaches and getting the coaches to go to all the schools and bringing all the young people. But
Yeah.
because I had so many coaches and they wasn't coming independently, the NIA reduced me down to 6,500 people. I had in Sandwell alone 12,000 young people that wanted to come to my concert, and
Yeah.
the NIA reduced me down to 6,500 people. So I did this concert with my album called Foundations for Life towards 6,500, and then the year afterwards I started putting on festivals in schools, in the school playgrounds, and having the whole school. So I did that for 2 years, and that's. But the reason why it was called "You Are a Star" because on the album, I wrote a song called "You Are a Star,"
Yeah.
and just because of time, I'll just give you a little bit of that. No matter who you are, you're a shining star. You could be fat, could be slim, you're still a star. Could be pretty, could be ugly, you're still a star. Small, could be tall, rich or poor. No matter what color, you're a shining star. You could be blind, could disabled, suffer with cancer. Could find it hard to learn, have dyslexia. Couldn't care less, you're still a star. So look, star, smile, star. Just be proud of who you are, above and not beneath. You're an overcomer. Don't let no one tell you less than you are. The problems that you have can make you stronger. Though you have failed, you're not a failure. You may have lost a battle, but you haven't lost a war. Say you're a champ, you're more than conqueror. You may say no, I say yes, you are. I'm telling you're a star, no matter who you are. I'm telling you're a star, no matter where you are. Won't go tell your neighbor that you are a star. Won't go tell your friends that you are a star. Lift up your head because you know you're a star. You're above, not beneath. You're an overcomer. Yes, you are a star. Yes, you are a star. Yes, you are the stars. Yeah, so that's one verse. I'll give you the next verse afterwards.
Yes.
So just like TG Jakes, how he started Woman Thou Art Loose, I started off with this song called You Are a Star. You Are a Star ended up turning into my concert. That's what I
Yes.
called it. You Are a Star. Yeah. Then You Are a Star turned into a program, yeah, a 6 weeks program and that was sold and bought by schools across the country. Then from the program, then we turned it into the t-shirts. Then from the t-shirts, it's turned into a film. And I'm currently, but I've just finished off writing this book called Foundations for Life. You Are a Star. So
Yes.
there you go. And then from there, so the film is to come out this year.
Yeah.
The book will come out in the next couple. Hiya, Marky. I hope you're well. Blessings to you as well.
Yes.
Um,
Sorry.
and yeah. So I was redefined. So taking a couple of years back, somebody asked me a profound question. What was the most wisest information I got when growing up as a gospel artist? Well, it was a woman from the Home Office, and she said to me, "If you want to make it doing social justice, I would say take the word gospel from the front of your name." I said, "Why?" She goes, "If you do that, watch what will happen." So said, so done. I took the gospel artist away, and that's wherein I was able to get into all these places from, opening for the Conservative Party twice, and getting to minister to so many people, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
of high end, um, going and ministering in some places wherein, that me and yourself, if you remember, we did the head office of Barclays Bank,
Oh my
um,
shit.
in Canary Wharf, you know.
Yeah. That
Yeah,
was a show. Yeah.
um,
But
yeah. For the high, I did work for the High Commissioner. I've done work. I was invited to number 10 Downing Street by Gordon Brown to talk about prison and prison reform. This is all what happened. This little dancehall artist from nowhere comes somewhere, be everywhere. And he said, and you remember what I said to you, give me lyrics and I'll take them anywhere. And he'd take me everywhere. He put me in front of royalty, put me in front of government officials and everything. So
yes.
I'm there as a living witness. You remember when I told you last week? I says he told me to change my name from A plus to witness, and I said no. But
Yes.
guess what? As I did what he told me, this is where he's landed me to this
Yes.
part here. So for
Yeah. And
me,
it just proves to
all I can
me
say,
it's a mustard seed faith that you've had, which is the
oh
Lord
yes,
has just blew up. I mean, you're just telling me snippets, really. You're not telling me the fullness of
yes.
everything.
I'm just
You haven't
no, I'm
got
not.
all
I'm
the
not.
time.
Every,
Yeah,
everything, everything has got a whole backstory to every
yeah,
single one of these stories. I'm just trying to snap as much things into possible as
yeah.
possible. In 2010, I, me and my wife, we split and we got divorced, and that's where in a new ministry was born, a
Yes,
ministry of, boy, you know what, understanding who broken-hearted people are. Because all at this time, yeah, I was witness. So because I was witness, yeah, I had this alter ego. I was, uh, um, I had this, like, how would I explain to people, like, untouchable, because I was doing performing for the Lord. I was this guy. But underneath, there was this guy called Adrian who was losing his identity and never had the opportunity. And one
oh,
day I
but
remember the Lord
at
said
that
to me,
point, you said to me that your identity was that you're a Christian man, you're married with your children, everything is set, and then
that's
it
right,
just everything just crashed, and it was like
crashed.
you built everything around this family life that you could go out and then minister to people. And I was
Yeah,
thinking
because
to
that
myself, how
was, yeah.
crash? But yeah, carry on with that.
And that was my model. That was
Yeah,
my model, which I looked at and says, right, this is what I call sincere, and this is what I call success. As the gospel or the Christendom would
Yeah. Yeah.
declare. And once that model had been broken,
Yeah.
it's like, where's my identity?
Where
And
is
out
it?
of it, um, Adrian was born
Yeah.
again, and I acknowledged who my broken heart, shattered into pieces, trying to pick up these pieces and trying to make sense of who I was, where I was, and where I'm from, and where am I supposed to go now. I was ready to die, and I was doing risky behavior. I can tell
Well,
you
I
about
also
heartache and
remember,
pain and
if I can
brokenness.
jump in, you you collapsed, didn't you? You collapsed on
Collapsed
one
in
of the nights.
2009, November 2009. I collapsed.
Yes.
You know, they thought that I had a stroke because I was doing all this work. And again, these are the other sides. I mean, we're not going to do it next week. Yeah, invite me in the next couple of weeks, and then we keep the conversation going, because there's a flip side
Okay.
to this witness. And I you know, my ministry at this moment in time, I have a virtual school which hopefully will be finished by September.
Yeah.
But ministering to the brokenhearted is exactly what I'm talking about. And when I'm ministering to the brokenhearted, I don't
Yeah.
mean, oh, Jesus loves you. That's easy for people to say, yeah. But it's hard for people to accept when if you've been abused by church folk,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. If you're being abandoned by church folk, if you've
Yes.
taken the Bible and beat you over the head, yeah.
Yes.
The word abuse, for most people should know it by now. Just two words in English, just fuse them together and got the word abuse. But abnormal use of something or
Yeah.
someone,
Yeah.
in other words, using it for out of its purpose, what it was designed for. So
Mm.
I teach young people, I coach young people. At this moment in time, I'm coaching executives, head teachers, teachers. I have a team of mentors, about 22 mentors that I reside over and coach and look after. I do so many different things. It's things that I don't talk about. Why? Because I don't think it's
Yeah.
necessary to talk about it. But through my brokenness, going back to 2010 to 2013, my
Mhm.
brokenness into little pieces helped me to realize that Jesus didn't love me because of my performance. Jesus didn't love me because my name was Witness. Jesus loved me all by myself because he says
Come on now.
that,
Oh,
guess
bless
what?
the
God
Lord.
so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever is inclusive of all, excluding none, whosoever believes on him should not perish, but have everlasting life. And I
Yeah.
understood that, but I understood it to to communicate it to other people, not
Yeah.
realizing that one day I'm gonna need this whosoever, I'm gonna need this not
Yes.
perishing, I'm gonna
Bless
need to learn how to believe, I'm gonna need to know that, Lord, you actually
God.
care that my foot's hurting, my heart is broken.
Bless
So I
God.
could sit down on that part of my life for another 5 years
Mm.
another 5 hours and ministry to you right from that place of brokenness right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I won't. So we move on. And then um, in 2013, I met a young lady again, and we got married in 2014, which was the year of my 40th
I'm
birthday.
gonna jump in there, because I remember that we went to go and do a show
One
in
concert.
Wolverhampton,
Mhm.
and when I come outside to look for you, I think, where's this gone? And then I saw you walking across the car park from the ATM with this young lady. She said you had to accompany her to the ATM. I said, accompany
Because it's
her to
dark out there, you
the
see. It was dark. And how
Oh
how
my
how my
goodness.
how my dad grew me, you know, we help our neighbors.
Yes, but
That
she's
neighbor
turned out to
become a
be a lovely
wife.
wife now. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
she became a wife, and we have a beautiful child, Anaya. Uh,
Who I
but
am
I call her
godmother
Bella.
to. Anaya
Yes, you're the godmother.
and
Yes.
daddy. Oh,
So yes, and so therefore, with that said, you know, uh, Fallon, by her own means and rights, she has her own testimony. My wife is a survivor of attempted murder. You know,
yeah,
and stuff like that, other things. But she can tell you her own testimony. But
yes,
how she sings is just amazing. She sings like she's
yes,
a psalmist. She
okay,
can cry and write songs which are totally amazing. Now,
yeah.
when I
A
pick my nose,
beautiful
me did,
voice.
you know, me, Me did put it over there, so don't worry yourself. Me no have it in my fingers no more. Anyway, so basically, what it was is that yeah, so we got married, but then I can tell you about trauma being married again. Married the first time is you're blind, you're deaf, you're dumb, you don't understand. Married the second time, you see, hear, and know everything. Yeah, and the traumatic experiences that
No.
that that you go through is marriage takes work, hard work. Again, I can touch on pretty much loads of different subjects from mental health all the way to spiritual well-being, mental and emotional well-being, learning how to dissolve your ego. See, when I was witness, I brought witness into my house, which was some of the reasons why I ended up being divorced because I brought witness into the house. This massive ego, this massive uh, entitled individual that had young people, old people, middle-aged people, people of influence, people of no influence, people from prison
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
palm of my hand,
There's a lot of guts
and
to
bringing
admit
this
to do
person,
this.
yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
bringing this person called witness into my house, my household.
Yeah.
Guess what? This man could this idea couldn't sit inside of my house. It would destroy my house. So I
Mm.
made this decree and says witness can only stand on stage, but Adrian can only stay in the house. So witness is not allowed in the house, and Adrian is not allowed on stage. That's how I learned how to broker my these two identities, which were all out of one person. But my point is that um, broken hearts in healing hands. That's another ministry that I have, which the Lord's slowly but surely bringing me into and bringing into maturity. And I like that word, Maureen. Yes, broken to be made whole. But you know what? He used me in music, and I had this performance-related attitude and behavior. Then after, he destroyed it, for
Yeah.
want for a better word. Just like the what's it called, the potter and the clay, and he just destroyed it when it doesn't it's not fit for purpose, and then he remolds it into something new. And that's what I'm going through and gone through and still yet to go through in my life. So where am I now? So I am now, as I says, I'm responsible for um uh 20 odd mentors. Those 20 are some are student mentors from university that I'm a supervisor for, and I put them and expose them to young people who are at risk of being who are at risk of it being excluded permanently from school or have already been permanently excluded.
Yeah.
Um, I do guest lecturing in University College of Birmingham, but the pandemic happened, so that's on pause. Um, but again, me telling you what I do is just telling you titles and stuff. What I
Yeah.
really want to tell you is that guess what? Live your life on purpose, by purpose, for a purpose. Once you understand that, then you would never be out of work again. Because
Yeah.
to work to be to work is to become yourself, understand what God's called you to be, yeah, and then live it out with all vigor. You know, if I die today, I know that you know what I've led thousands of people to the Lord. I told you
Yeah.
hundreds back in my 90s, yeah, and by where we are now, 2021, I've led thousands, and that's not the badges of honor that I'm trying to highlight to you. It's just being an influence. So put a
Yes.
smile on your face if you don't know how to preach. Just put a smile
Yeah.
on your face. Use humor, you know, because humor is a great introduction to helping people to heal their hearts. Because some people don't know that humor is a medicine unto itself.
Yeah.
For me, I can only say to young people, um, as well as my generation. I'm 47 years of age now. I'm closer to 50 to than to 40. And you know, I'm getting ready to embark on this next part of this journey, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
of what the Lord has for me. But you know, if you want to ask me some questions, you need to ask me quickly because we only have 10 minutes
No,
left.
because you know what I've noticed as you're going through, you are answering. I'm just doing some green ticks. You know, you're just answering some of the questions that I mean, I just a shy green ticks, green ticks. Answering the questions that I've written down. So, God be praised. I'm glad that you said that you would like to come back on in a couple of weeks' time, because I really want to look at the, your document that you wrote, which was Witnesses Critical Thinking, the Identity Recipe book. I wanted to touch on that, and I wanted to touch on what's next for you coming up. And it's fascinating to me how, at the beginning you said that you wanted to do something with the youth. That was the core seed.
That's
that
because
you
I
had.
was a young person.
Yeah, because you was a young
So I just went
person.
to the ministry. Yeah,
With
because I
a
went to
bit
the
of
ministry
nose
to my
ahead.
generation.
Yes, yes.
Yes, well, that wisdom came from. I remember coming out of the studio. Sorry to interrupt you. I remember I was in
No,
the studio, and I was talking to these older gentlemen, and they was asking me all these
yeah,
questions, and I was giving them answers, and I was like, "Yo, you're a very clever young man. Very clever. Keep it up." So I said, "All right." And I was walking home. I said to the Lord, "Lord, I need more wisdom. More wisdom. I need more wisdom." He says, "More wisdom." Okay. I said, "Lord, I need more street knowledge, more street wisdom. That's what I need to make sure."
yeah,
And the Holy Spirit said to me, He said, "Adrian, why would you ask for street wisdom and street knowledge when heaven is higher than earth? If you ask me for my wisdom, you'll always be ahead of the game.
yes,
So ask me
absolutely.
for more wisdom, ask me for more understanding, ask me for more knowledge, and I will give you to that. And therefore, you'll be seen wise and knowledgeable beyond your years." So therefore, that is what I asked him for, and I always ask him. It's not. I know Solomon said it, but I told you about the scripture. What Solomon, in Second Chronicles, I believe it was. You
Mm,
know, but I'm trying to say to you is that if you find yourself with wise people, you become wiser still. And
yes,
I'm thankful to the Lord that He's placed me and given me the entitlement to be around very clever people, like the Dulcie Dixons, like the Professor Robert Beckfords, the Carl Georges of this world,
yeah.
the Mike Royals of this world, or Bishop Mike Royals of this world,
And
you know,
Derek Campbell,
the
is
the
still
Derek
involved.
Campbells, you know,
Yes,
the, it's so many influential people. Jonathan Jackson, Bishop Jonathan Jackson. I mean, these are all I can consider as my friends. 3 weeks ago, I put on a dinner, a Zoom dinner. Yeah, people think that it was the first of its kind. I said, all right, then praise the Lord. But a Zoom dinner, and I invited 10 of the most influential men in Birmingham. When it was supposed to be literally, I was doing it at the Cube, and it was 20 of the most influential men in Birmingham, black
yeah.
men at that, to talk about their legacy and how they've got from where they were as second generation to where they are today as successful, decorated individuals. And how do we pass on that baton? And how do we leave your last name and write it in a book?
Let
I've
me let
been
me let
offered
me
a
just
book.
jump in. Let me just jump in, please. And because I know you've got all this stuff that you're doing, but I just really want to bring you back again because for me, I think that your dad was extremely influential. And this is, we started Real Men together, and
Mhm.
you came up. We said that we wanted to be real men, and you came up with the anagram for,
Acronym.
yes, REAL, and
Responsible
leaders.
educational aspir
Yeah,
responsible educational aspirational leaders.
yes, absolutely. And it just fell into place, and then we did the first conference, and we did the talk, the conference, the sex
Real
conference.
sex
Not sex.
was
Sorry.
I wish I could go up there and did perform, because you know what? That's the epicenter of all life, sex. The next time we come, we
Um,
talk about sex.
invited over this professor from America. But let's talk about that in 2 weeks' time. That's something for
Yeah,
brethren to look forward
yeah.
to. And
Hmm.
you'll see why I'm
Make sure you have a
laughing.
cup of tea and a nut bread.
Hello, bourbon and custard cream. Bless the Lord. But what I
Hmm.
wanted to talk about was the fact that um, a woman um, can't really grow a man. A woman can
No.
grow a woman. A man has to grow a man. And meeting your dad, seeing how he talks to you, even as a grown man, you know, this is a real man. Reminds me very much of my daddy, who's sadly passed away last year. But I do remember you was talking about how he took you camping, and I didn't know any black people that went camping in tents, teepee, you know. And you said that you know, be out in the cold, and he's showing you what to do because he was a soldier. Just tell me a little bit more about your dad, because he's featured in you know, your film, and I mean, I know it features a lot in your mind. You know, you see your dad regularly and everything. And a lot of children, a lot of young boys, they don't have that. Just talk about that a little bit. You know, what it was like to go camping with your dad and your family. You know, tell us a bit about that.
You're asking two questions in one sentence, and
Yeah.
that question is A, about fathers, and then my experience of having a father. So I
Yes.
said this, and I'll leave it like this in the first instant. The disciples went to Jesus and said, God bless you, Andrew, blessings. The disciples went to Jesus and said, Jesus, teach us how to pray. And he said, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Yeah.
Yes.
Watch this now. Our Father. Question number one, who's your father? Question number two, who art in heaven? Where is your Father? Question number three, hallowed be thy name.
Mm-hmm.
What type of character does your Father have? And the third question, or the fourth question is, or the fifth question, sorry, is this: thy kingdom come. What inheritance has your Father left for you? Now, using that as a baseline, I'll go into my statement about my dad.
I told you he was a
A,
deep
who is
thinker,
my
didn't I? Bless God.
so A, who is my father? My father, his name's Lester Burke. Yeah. B, yeah. Where is my father? In actual fact, he's right next door right now. Yeah, talking on the phone. Yeah. But he's been in my life all of my life.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So where is my father? I knew where to call my father. In the time of trouble, I knew who to call. I know how to call my dad's name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who was he? Who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. What character? My dad has got an MBE. My dad's got titles after his name, or etc. etc. Why? He's a man of good standard, of high standard, of high respect and honor. So therefore, this character is what I look to say, wow, they're my big shoes to step inside of. So my our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come. What legacy did my dad leave for me? The legacy my dad left for me or shown me was, guess what? He didn't want me to stay in Birmingham. He took me, when I say me as a family, took us
Yeah.
to Scotland, to Europe, to Wales, to Devon. We went camping. He teaches how to put up tents, teaches how
Wow.
to play ball, he teaches everything. He teaches me how to drive. My dad has done so much and impacted my life in so many different rounds that I sit down, and even to this day he still shocks me with things what he says and things what he keeps like secret to me, you know.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that my dad was a magistrate judge. I didn't know these things, but guess what? Again, he showed me that to be don't put your name or your title on your chest, yeah, to go and get respect. People would know you are who you are by the character that you show. You don't
Yeah.
need to write it on your chest, Adrian, to let
Yeah.
people know. So I've turned down being a pastor. I've turned down being all these different things because people
Yeah.
want me. Like
Yeah.
I don't need to. I embody these things. You will see it naturally. Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what I get from my dad. So my dad, yes, my dad taught me how to wash, cook, and clean. He showed me how to run a house. You understand me? There's nothing my dad couldn't do and cannot do. So therefore, watching my dad how he negotiated with my mother, you know, and look after all his five children, yeah, and 6 and 7 children. How many? I don't know, but yeah, That's how he did it. Yeah, I'm saying that because it's political, but as I'm saying that, yeah, and I always got my anyway. So yeah, so again for me, I look at it and say, boy, how do I step into these shoes? And that's the model that he showed me. He
Yeah.
showed me to be caring. He showed me to be passionate. He showed me how to be loving and kind. Yeah. He showed me how to be, taking responsibility. And my neighbor was not the person number 21. Yeah. My neighbor was, the person who needed help. That's these things that my dad showed me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. These are the things. But then you hear, listen to what Jesus says. I don't do nothing without I only do what I see my father do.
Do.
That's what Jesus said. You understand
Yeah.
me? So this is this is a whole chapter, a whole discussion, yeah, that we can have on a different time because I know that we've only got a couple of more minutes left. So
We've got less
I
than
bet
a minute now, so I'm gonna have to wrap it
so
up.
I better
But
bring the plane into land. We better bring the plane into land sharp. So you better hold on to your breath because we're gonna bring it in landing quickly. Go ahead.
go on, land it quickly.
Oh, so we're landing the plane. Look, this is what I want you to take away. You do not need a title to get yourself into the positions that you need to be in.
Oh, come on now. This needs a tambourine, right?
You don't need to be, you don't need to be a pastor or a overseer or any of those Christian church names, titles, bishop, and all these things to minister, because
Yes.
just by your very nature of being a child of the King, you are his ministry, his
Yes. Yes.
kingdom come, and it be established throughout you. So all I'm saying to you, if you don't know what to say, how to say it, and when to say, put a smile on your face. Yeah,
Mhm.
because that's the first way of bringing the gospel. Because some people will commit suicide because they think that, boy, you know what, I don't even know, the world looks like a horrible place, but as soon as you put a smile on them, they're like, why are you smiling for? Well, I know today's a hard day, but you know what, I seen that little child pick a flower, and that made me smile to know that, you know what, today's going to be okay, and tomorrow's going to even be a better day.
Yeah.
So I'm saying to you, when it's all said and done, love life, love Jesus, and love yourself. Yeah.
Oh,
Because
glory.
once you can do that, we can move to that next level. But I'll be back soon again. But, we have to take a break because I have
Yeah.
things doing.
Yes, I know your daddy's there and your family's there. So, Adrian,
Hmm.
I love you to bits. You know this.
Love you too.
We've
Love you too.
come from a long, far, far way. And thank you for being so open. And I know you'll be even more open. And I give God thanks for your dad. God placed your dad in your
Hmm.
life for a special reason. And it wasn't just for you, because others are reaping the rewards of your daddy from our heavenly daddy. And with that,
Amen.
my brethren, we are out. Adrian, you've been signed, sealed, and delivered.
Blessings, blessings, blessings. Mhm.
Bless you too. Thank you. And we'll see you next week, everyone, at 8 o'clock, live and direct on the GX Radio Show.
Blessings.